Now I will invite the person who dons many hats but is professionally a very eminent neurosurgeon, Dr. Shondip Chatterjee. May I request you to please share your views with us.
I'd like to thank Paula Sengupta for this honor really of coming to this venue, rather unique venue, and seeing these amazing pieces of art which kindles a lot of memories, not entirely pleasant in me, as I recall the days of those dark nights. However, asking a professor of neurosurgery to talk about art is a bit like asking your hairdresser to talk about the brain. The problem is not only a problem of perception of depth, but also a problem of depth of perception. However, there is no doubt that in my profession, I have probably experienced these dark nights in a way which is very dark indeed. It seems only the other day, when it was the early spring of 2020, when we were all running around this globe destroying nature and making holes in the ozone layers in the way our race has been doing for centuries, when suddenly descended on us this brainless blob of RNA, which seemed to bring our entire race down on our knees. And the days, called nights in this exhibition, that followed were not only a dark testimony to our inability as a species to protect ourselves from far less creatures that we had ignored, but it served as a reminder to us as a race that we had in the last 3 decades invested a sum of 1,900 billion US dollars in weapons to prevent a war, but had invested less than 2 million US dollars to do any research on what we were going to do against a virus attack. But I think we all learned a lot during the pandemic, some of which was pleasant and some which was not. I think above all, as a race, we learned humility. We learned, as Paula writes in one of these little pieces that she's so beautifully written before each section of the exhibition, we learned that there was a difference between a neighbor and a neighborhood. We learned that to survive, it was not enough to be human, it was necessary to be humane as well. And of course, we learned some other good things. We learned digitalization. And Paula tells you how all this started because of the lectures she ran in the virtual space. For the first time ever, I had the experience of taking neurosurgical lectures to be heard in different continents of the planet, dressed in a white shirt, coat, suit with shorts underneath, because that was not visible on the camera of the laptop. In fact, I was told that we carried digitalization to such an extreme that even the Almighty became digitalized during this period. And I was told by a patient of mine that when you went down and prayed and said, please protect us from this COVID virus, the Almighty appeared. And when I said to the Almighty, please save me, the Almighty said, how? JPEG or PDF? But in addition to humility and digitalization, we also learned that we have to look at our neighbors and at our neighborhood. And we looked and understood the value of human life and existence as no other experience had taught us. And those of us that worked, and by the way, I was only off work and did not go to the hospital in the 5 days that I got COVID myself from a patient of mine. And that too, I was perfectly fit to go to the hospital, I may dare say, but because of medical reasons, I didn't do so. But those of us that worked in hospitals that had COVID patients cannot forget some tantalizing moments that were rekindled in the bottom of my brain when I went through some of these sprints this afternoon. Like the night when I was called at 2 a.m. by the father of a patient of mine saying, you had operated on him when he was 10 years old. He's now 30, he's not vaccinated, he's got COVID, his saturation is down to 60, there's no bed available in any hospital. I've come to the hospital in which you work, which by the way is called Park Clinic, and they tell me that all the COVID beds are full. We have an oxygen cylinder, he's in your hospital car park, the cylinder will last for 40 minutes, can you please get us a bed in that 40 minutes? All the time I saw this 30-year-old who walked into my office coughing and spluttering and saying, Doctor, I think I've got COVID. And I said, you should get admitted immediately. And who have you come with? And he said, no, I haven't told my parents they're aging. I don't want them to know I have COVID because they'll panic so much. And my father's already had a heart attack. And I insisted that I speak to his wife, and we admitted him in the COVID ward. The next time I saw him, he was wrapped in a black bag being taken away in a corporation van 3 days later. And these are memories that were rekindled as I saw Paula's curated exhibition today. And I'm sure all of you would have some experience of such similar personal experiences that this virus taught us, or maybe is still teaching us as we progress through life. But I think, as Paula writes somewhere, dark nights do end in a dawn, and I think we have learned a lot. We have been re-Christianed as a species on this planet, and while we have horrific memories of those that did not last the pandemic, as a species, I think we have a lot to thank for still being around, having seen the worst of the worst natural disaster that humanity has ever encountered. And I don't know whether Paula was influenced, but I was particularly influenced by a comment from none other than Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote, if you shed your tears because the sun has gone out of your life, the tears will stop you seeing the moon and the stars. And I think, therefore, we need to see exhibitions like this with a view to remember we have to wipe away those tears so that we can still see the moon and the stars. And some of the stars are exhibited in this exhibition today. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I would request everyone to please get up from your seats once again, because the lamp will be lit right outside in the foyer. So please join us there. Thank you.
Sure, please, ask me.
I think you should also come.
I see some living alumni participants here. Nilanjan, of course. Oruna, Ononna. Please come. Come. Atke ache. Akono atke. Nilanjan,
There are many more.